It's funny because people ask me, what is naturopathic medicine? I had a medical doctor shadow me today, and I get this question almost daily. My answer has changed so dramatically that I actually don't even answer that question anymore, because I don't feel like I fit in to any type of medicine, because I, as a human being, have evolved and changed. I now don't have to follow a specific guideline. I don't have to follow what was taught to me in medical school. And we're seeing this in medicine. We are all transcending, not all, but many of us, whether we are an MD, a DO, an acupuncturist, an ND, what the medicine has given us has been beautiful, but many of us are transcending this level of realizing it's not enough, or the answers aren't all in there. And that comes when you work on your ego, when you actually start listening to your patients, when you start caring so deeply about this person in front of you that you start being so much more open-minded and realizing how little you actually do know. So I had a lot more ego, when I first graduated, and I was a doctor and I had authority. And so unfortunately, we still look up to this authority for all the answers. We don't look at traditional medicine as much here. We don't look at these people who are telling us, I had stage 4 cancer and I went into remission naturally. We all say that's rare, it's not common, it's unlikely, and I've seen family members this has happened to, and the doctor's saying that, maybe it was a misdiagnosis. And so I think eventually when your ego leaves, you can actually see what is true. And now I'm finding how little I actually do know, and how much more wisdom there is in ancient things that people would tell me. Now I'm finding out, wow, there's actually science coming up with this, that it's true. And so in 20 years, we'll probably find out things that our grandparents told us that I used to roll my eyes and say, Mom, that was a myth, So I think clinical evidence is huge. And looking at that more and more nowadays, we're looking at placebo, we're looking at nocebo, which is, unfortunately, I see so much of that. So that's when we actually give patients no hope or little hope. It can do so much harm. I see this with my infertility patients. I see this with patients who get terminal cancer and diagnosis with prognosis that this is unlikely. If you're going to go down this route of natural medicine or this, it's not going to work. Your rate's so low, and putting that on somehow is okay, but giving them hope, knowing that placebo actually can work, is looked down upon as quackery or not true medicine. So it's very interesting, because I used to be against placebo. I went from one extreme of being neuroscience, very scientific in my undergrad, to the other extreme, because I saw it working in India in homeopathy and learning energetic medicine. And so now it's beautiful because I've got to see it all. I've got to see very much, I love surgery, I love acute care medicine and conventional medicine, but I've also witnessed things that I still cannot explain. How my own patients have healed in front of me, how tumors the size of golf balls will disappear with a remedy, and the biopsy comes back with no signs of cancer. And I even as a doctor cannot explain it. But the patients, they're telling me what they did and what they think helps. As a scientist, I always, when I find something, I want to find the evidence. That's just how my mind works. I want to know that this wasn't an n equals 1, and that it's not just a perception or an observation. Like, I need evidence, and we are actually able to measure these things now. And we're starting to see that, no, there actually is scientific evidence that when a doctor looks at a patient, touches that patient, they do better than when the doctor just reviews the lab and doesn't look at the patient and doesn't interact and connect. We're starting to be able to measure the field that's given off by the heart, through heart math, and why we feel certain emotions when we're around someone, and why our heart pattern changes when we're around someone who's very angry. I always say, the 2 letters after my name don't really matter. It's about who I am, how I practice, and how that doctor practices, and it's the philosophy of care. So the way I describe myself in naturopathic medicine to me now is that I care about the whole person. and that I believe in this vitalism. I believe that there is a vital force inside every single one of us, and that we are not just alone human beings having this ego, and that we're all connected, and there is this one consciousness. And disease sometimes, as the law of thermodynamics said, there has to be change and balance. And the more we can connect to other people and share and not attach to our suffering and our pain and give that energy, but to just be very present and learn to be present through mindfulness, through meditation, through rebounding, through exercise, through dancing, through engaging with a pet, through going for walks, having date nights, through bowling with friends, and not realizing that, we're not alone and that we're all connected, and hopefully finding a healer, a therapist, a doctor, whatever you want to call them, someone who's there to witness you, someone who's there to really truly care about you, because that care and compassion can only come when they've truly done their own work and they've figured out how to care and be kind and loving towards themselves. And that's why I'm so happy to have found this path, because this has actually been most healing for me and helped me with my health issues, and understand how my disease, my illnesses, my symptoms have been my messengers to get me back in touch with myself. And it's been a gift. It's an opportunity for change.